Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And the next time you're at Walmart, take a few minutes to yell at the ham, become ungovernable. But on the last live stream, when the first knife that we had crapped out after the first hour, Group Conscience decided we needed to switch knives, and everybody picked out the Cold Steel 4MAX Scout. And if you're just getting here, let's take a look at what we got. And first things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. It is reversible. We've got Gryvex on the scales. We got a thumb stud. Let's flick the stud. We have got a 4-inch blade, an AUS 10A steel. And this was an interesting experience. So first things first, when I first carried this thing for its weekly review, I did something I didn't want to do and had to modify it. I got up under the dingus end of the pocket clip and sanded down a flat spot so that it was easier to carry. And you know, the Gryvex, this stuff is like skateboard grip tape. So getting caught between the grip tape surface and that right there will tear cloth up pretty bad. So we went in on this thing. And, you know, when we first started, it came out of the gate swinging. You know, the first handful of cuts were nice. They were blazing through the cardboard. I brought out the hardcore stuff, the 71-pound edge crush test. It's like double layered and very hard to cut. It went through that with a reasonable amount of effort. It was doing good. And then at the end of that first hour, it started falling off fast. So, like, it would still do the cut on copy paper okay, but the cardboard, it was starting to really tear it and wad it up. And on the cardstock, it was showing a significant amount of edge wear. So, you know, we started to look at what was happening there. And so I decided to go online and look at Cold Steel sharpening angles. Because I figured it was probably an issue with the angle being a bit too obtuse. When we have obtuse angles on here, they tend to wear pretty fast and they have a hard time cutting the cardboard after that. That's one thing we're learning as we go. So, Cold Steel recommends 23 to 25 degrees sharpening their knives up. That is ridiculous. Like, I'm not sure what use case that is there for that outside of maybe heavy outdoors use, which I get it. These are kind of geared for doing stuff like that, but let's be realistic. 90 some odd percent of the guys carrying this are like me. They're concrete cowboys. They want a toy to show off. They want something big to play with, and they like the shock value when you whip this out in front of an audience. You know, whipping it out in front of an audience is always fun. So, you know, I looked at that and we decided to stop and reprofile the edge down to a nice crisp 17 degrees. This is where problems showed up. Big ones. All right. One bevel on one side was 20 degrees or more. And we spent over an hour hogging off steel to get it to 17 degrees-ish. The other bevel was right at about 17 degrees. However, we had to hog off so much steel on one side, we made a huge bevel and had to hog off a ton of material on the other side to make the bevels match. So, you know, we had cut with it for about an hour. We stopped and spent over an hour trying to reprofile this thing down, and then we spent a little while cutting, and we couldn't really get too far into that part because that wound up being a 7-hour stream, which it got weird. Like, it was a lot of fun. If you haven't been to a live stream, drop by and check one out. We have fun there. But, you know, after all that was said and done, I didn't get a chance to do a lot of cutting with it, but it was doing better. Now, one thing that's worth mentioning is there were some weird artifacts, just some low spots and just weird scratches in the blade that were not coming out. I'm fairly sure it was because I put the Worksharp Precision Adjust through something it was not intended for, hogging off that much material on something like AUS 10A. I was told in the comments it's a pain in the left ass to sharpen, and, you know, reprofiling it wasn't a ton of fun. So, you know, we got a clean edge on it, and then we went back to cutting, and then, you know, I was like, you know what, I'll clean this up later, I'll get the Worksharp back out again, and I brought the Worksharp Precision Adjust out a little while ago to try to fix that edge the rest of the way. It just would not cooperate. I think it's just not designed to handle this, and somehow I went from you know, just hogging off material easily to it going flat enough to start grinding away the aluminum clamp. Like, I don't know what happened. So, I ended up having to do something I didn't want to do. I went into the garage and I threw a 120 grit belt on the 2x72 and hogged off all the material there to get it back to fairly even. Then I went to the Worksharp Ken Onion belt grinder and took that slack spot between the top two wheels and put a convex edge on it. That was the easiest way I had to get rid of material and get the bevels at least close enough to make me happy. And you can tell, like, I was struggling because this touched the back wheel on that and bounced just a hair and scraped it, which is why I didn't want to do this. You know, I've been a bit too much of a pansy trying to protect my knives, even stuff like this where it's built to soak up abuse. But I was determined to get a good bevel on this thing and something that was, resembled what I liked, especially after seeing those edge angles. And, I'm happy I did it now. Like on other stuff, I'm willing to play around, especially on the 2x72, since I saw what I could do on this thing. I did better than I thought I would, which I'm happy with. So I've got it good and sharp. I stropped the bejesus out of it, and you might be able to tell, like, the leading part of the edge is definitely mirrored out. It's a very, very high polished edge, but right behind the end of that polish, there's a spot where I didn't get quite all the scratch marks out. It's not perfect, but it's definitely good enough for the girls I've gone out with. So let's take a look at just how sharp I got this thing. And paper right here. Let me bork this first cut real quick. Like, I got this thing good and sharp. And that's one of the things I like about having so much different equipment is I can do stuff like this. When one piece isn't working, I can jump over to the next one. And this is most fortuitous news because we are doing another live stream on this with a better edge. And also, I think this will be our first live stream on something with a properly polished convex edge. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I know I'm changing two variables at once, so the data is going to be a little unreliable, but it should be at least fun. Now, one thing worth noting is on Amazon. All right, there's one seller with like slow shipping, like a week, that's selling this for $54 when I checked a few hours ago, and then the ones on Amazon Prime are $70. So we're gonna assume a $70 price tag for the most part. Between $50 and $70. For something this big, $50 is a hell of a bargain. But once you start hitting $70 at full retail, that is a big ask for something that has bevels that jacked up. Like, I'm pretty sure this is a big QC fail and they didn't do two separate bevels for any particular purpose, just it did not QC out. My guess is they turned a blind apprentice loose with a dull chisel to put the bevels on there. But, I mean, that's kind of unacceptable. Like, again, you got to work on something out of the box to get it right. No, not okay. And I am a Cold Steel fanboy, and I hate having to say this about a Cold Steel, especially one of these things, the big pocket tanks that's at a good price and fun to play with. One of the good shock value knives. But, I mean, that's what happened. I would not be doing myself any favors, doing you any favors, trying to not tell you that this happened with this. And, I'm disappointed. Like, I'm really disappointed. And, one other thing to mention, too. This was something that I got from Adam for America in a trade. So let's thank him for making this whole thing possible to begin with. And this isn't his fault. He didn't sharpen it or anything. He sent it in the package, still sealed, brand new. This was Cold Steel's F-Up 100%. And this one is made in Taiwan, so that could be part of it. And I'm going to hate looking at these dings all the way down here. That is going to be frustrating. But, it is what it is. Cold Steel is, like, they've been known since Lynn Thompson sold the company, especially that the QC is going downhill a bit. So I'm not too surprised by that. I know, was it GSN Outdoors, I think it is. Their customer service is god-awful, especially, like, when you got to call them over the phone. They dicked me around bad on the Terminus XR here. They really messed me over on that. It took about a year to get that fixed. So, like, it's not like these things are 100% unexpected. It's just disappointing. The other ones I've had have been quite good, except for the 1911. That's just a piece of crap. I didn't want it to be a piece of crap, but it's a piece of crap. So when I bring out the AD15, the AD15 Lite, we're gonna have to check it out on Cardboard Slayer and see if we run into the same problems here, because I believe that's also OS10A. And we'll see. Like, maybe this was just one bad one out of a large batch. It could be. Or it could be the machine was set up wrong and they ran a million of them through there before they caught it. Yeah, I don't know. But, that's what happened with this thing. That's what happened with Cardboard Slayer and what I've had to do afterwards. I'm happy with the edge now. I'm not happy with how it looks, but it's the best it's going to get. And, yeah. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate it so, so much. You have no idea. I really appreciate the fact you guys spend time here. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about what happened here. If you've had to deal with this on one of your Cold Steels, just let us know anything you got related to this. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.